wait for it to get up here. Under the co-host invitation. All right, let's check devices. Check, double check. Let's see how we do. Tick, are you there? Oh, cool. Well, good evening. Well, coming from you live from south of France. Yeah, sucky Wi-Fi. Well, I'm flying tomorrow afternoon, so I should be home for just regular thing. I was gonna leave Monday, but um, it's gonna be better this way, right? I can't wait to be home again either. So, how you been? Well, that's what I'm doing over here, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow. Wait, well, you know what? I see OG Peanut is in the house. So, because this was not, I couldn't plan the space because the Wi Fi has just been horrendous. And that's because it's so busy here over the weekends too. So, just, they have it well, good, different Wi Fi's, but now everybody's on it. So, and this is like prime time, prime time for Wi Fi use. So, I can hardly post anything. It doesn't want to go through. So I just went like, all right, let's do space. But let me get my trusted laptop out, and so I can look at some charts. Hold on, give me a couple of minutes. Welcome everybody.
Sex appeal. I disappear like Copperfield. I change my name like David Blaine. I can't complain on private plane. I guess she has bad aim. Her thong is covered in champagne. Her thong is covered pastel pearl. She brought her friends to fuck me first. She brought her friends to match her purse. She brought her friends to show her worth. She brought her friends to make her squirt. She brought her friends to show them. I got stars. I got stars. I got stars in the roof of my.
All right, I'm back. Let's see what we can make of this. Let's have a look at the market. Should I be mentally preparing myself, Tick, for this or what? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it kind of looks. It kind of looks. Yeah, of course, it's pumping on to resistance. I'm thinking tomorrow maybe a little bit more volume coming in later on the day, but I don't expect much movement until like Tuesday or something like that. That was the last time I checked. I haven't looked at much this morning either because it's been all go time. Today was the most important day of me being here, and we've been out on the Formula One Monaco tracks. You guys, it's amazing. And for yeah, to assist with a photo shoot on somebody showing some muscle, so um, I'm there to make it flex, right? Here we go. So it looks good on camera because there's if you want to have muscles be seen in pictures. It's a lot of posing and lighting that has to be just right. Right? It's actually not that easy. So that was kind of the biggest part of my job, second part of my job. And so yeah, it's amazing, you guys, to be on the racetrack there. Unfortunately, because I was on set with them, you can't take pictures, right? That is too shitty. But yeah, it is what it is. It's an amazing experience, but this is the last time I'm going on location, um, for now, at least, right? Yes. Well, we were there so early, so they're not, because it was just for a shoot, so it's not,
Mm-hmm.
um, the real thing. But later on, when they start to do their test drives and stuff, oh my God, right? It's like
Yeah.
thunder.
Yeah. That's so cool. I'm jealous. I
It's
can't.
just these engines, these go, right? It's like, what the
Yeah.
hell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. You're like experiencing the alpha of like IRL racing. The F1 Formula 1 stuff is
Yeah.
just like it's on a whole nother level, obviously.
Oh,
But
and
the engineering,
On the Monaco track, right?
yeah.
On the Monaco, one of the, you know, the biggest ones out there,
Uh-huh.
um, or the most, how do you say, the ones with the most cachet, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
so Bitcoin's traded at 104.4. By the way, everybody that I meet owns Bitcoin. Trying to
Really?
sell it to people, and they're like, yeah.
Everyone's already privy.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
That's so cool.
Crazy, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
So let me just pull up the
So now you got
chart.
to get them on Sui. Now you got to get them to adopt Sui
Oh,
and
most of
like,
them already had two.
yeah, because
I
that's what you
mean,
did to me. Because I was very bullish on Solana because I was just like meme coins existing on Solana. I was like, that's where everyone
yeah,
just exists by default, and I wasn't really looking at like, well, what's going to be the next thing though? Like when this dies out, and it slowly has been, in my opinion, like the whole meme coin thing.
yeah.
Unfortunately, it's doing what everyone kind of anticipated it would do. It's just slowly kind of fizzling out.
Well, who bought the dip on Tau and who bought the dip on Tai?
Mm-hmm.
I wish I was trading and catching these, right? Jasmine is doing a little pump. But yeah, they all had a little bit of suffering going on because guess what? Bitcoin hit that 103. This is bearish. We now flip bearish on the 3 hour for Bitcoin. There is some bearish divergence on the 4th hour that's going to play out. Haven't flipped quite bearish there yet. If we pump back to 105.8, and again that 106.8, right? These two again, because we have some good support on that zone of 103. However, I still don't think it's enough to print a all-time high.
Right.
I just don't. And it possibly we pump back to that all-time high, 111, and that's going to be resistance again. But before we get there, 108 is going to be resistance, right? 110 is going to be resistance. 111, it's horrible.
Do you
So
think, and is
I
the chart going to have a downward? Do you think it's going to be like in a downward channel, like kind of doing a like a bull flag for
yeah,
a while down to like the
yeah, yeah,
101
exactly.
mark where it previously had
Oh, we
support,
can we can either see 90 again, right?
all the way down to
Let me put it
90, like
on.
90,
Oh
down
yeah.
to that support
But
level where if you go to the
oh,
left,
97,
right,
97, yeah.
right, yeah, I see it,
97 would be one.
97.5, yeah, right
Yeah,
there,
97.686 is one.
yeah,
That's the 200 EMA
right.
on the daily. So that's going to be one that we want to look at. And but yeah, you guys, I've been saying this, right? And I know people are sometimes like, "Wow, why are you so bearish?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just looking at the chart. I'm neither here nor there. I just look at what the chart tells me,
It really depends on
and
the
I want."
timeline that you're talking about because it's like, yeah, you
Yeah,
might be bearish on the short term for the
yeah,
next, couple of weeks or whatever. You're like, okay,
sure,
we're gonna have some discovery, some consolidation,
Yeah.
and as more volume and momentum builds, then we will start to see those rallies that everyone's been kind of
Yeah,
anticipating.
but just remember that this ends over the summer.
When everyone goes on
Yeah,
vacation,
so we have
basically.
2 3 weeks here for to make it another go. But if I look on that weekly, we have 10%. Now let me take, we have like a 10 14%. So let me take from that wick down, right? And then look at 10%. Maybe I see a price target of, hold on, it's not good. Why is it doing that? Oh, because I'm on the daily. All right. Well, let's put it in the fourth hour then. Um, um, for me, it's too close to the previous all-time high if I measure. We have like 10% in the tank on the weekly, on the stochastic, because we're in overbought conditions. So we can bang against that ceiling for a little bit. But if I go and look at all the times that it did that, we got maybe 10% up there.
Right.
And if I measure 10% from that wick low to the previous all-time high, I'm looking at 10.1%. So that's why I say we're gonna possibly gonna try and attack that all-time high again. Everybody will be like, this is gonna go to 130. I don't, not anywhere do I see that, right? That monthly is looking so bullish, but the monthly plays out over the next 6 months. That says nothing about now, right? So usually there's after 3 months, I would say three, right? So 3 to 6 months, and that puts us in quarter 4, not here. So for now on that weekly, we done playing, right? We done. We're overbought conditions. The trend is going to reverse to the down, and every time that weekly crosses to the down, we see some blood, right? Let's put it on the weekly again. Yeah, when the weekly crosses down, we're getting some blood.
Right, right. But then I just pulled
Yeah,
it up onto the monthly, and then on the monthly,
yeah,
it's like the opposite. You can see the golden
yeah.
cross
But
at the
that's
bottom
great. Well, what
forming.
does that tell us, right? Okay, so no pumps now. Expected quarter 4, and just take that weekly down and some more retesting. But first, it can rally up because the daily is in the golden cross up, right? So we are going to rally some. How much? Okay, max. I would say max 10%, because that's what we have in the tank on the weekly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what we have left in the tank for a pump. And then what are we looking at? Well, first of all, we're going to retrace back to 101. Then we're going to hit that 50 EMA on the weekly, right? So that's going to be around, yeah, we can retouch 90. Yeah, we can even go at the end of summer back to 80 levels too. And then on the weekly, we'd still be bullish. Nothing would be null and void there, right? Bull run will be still on. If however, we get lower than 75 on that weekly, then I'll be, then it will flip bear on the weekly. And then we got to watch out because usually that tells us that the toppy top is in. So
When the
what floor do we
RSI
need?
when the RSI sinks below like the 75 mark, the
Well, it's that 200 moving average of Bitcoin is quite important. In a bull run, we want to see a lift from there a lot. And look, we can still flip a little bit bearish, but I don't want to see red going. I don't want to see us retouching any of that 200 moving average on Bitcoin on the weekly. That's too close to being bearish.
so what is 200 moving average? What does that mean? I
The
sorry.
200 moving average. So that's the one that moves on the 200 away from the middle trend. So if you put on your guppy,
Uh-huh.
you put it on the weekly, that last green line, that's the 200 moving average. Now the further away we get from that 200 moving average, the better it is, and the more highs Bitcoin makes too. And so if you look on the guppy, we came really close at touching it in the beginning of April. We got really close, but we only got as far as the 150 EMA, and it didn't want to. But when there comes a candle through that 75, and you see a weekly candle coming through on there, I'm possibly just gonna heat all my bags and everything. Yeah,
Hmm.
because that's like quicksand right then and there. But yeah,
Wow.
we'll that would be very bearish from here. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, again, well, could Bitcoin want to do that? It could, right?
And I do have a
It
question about
could.
that. So yeeting, like, what would it take? Like a 10% drop? You'd be like, okay, I need to, or even less than that, or is your
Well,
tolerance
what I
even
do
more?
here is now I'm still expecting some pumpies on a daily, but I'm gonna keep a close eye.
Uh huh.
I'm gonna keep that close eye, especially in the dominance, because the dominance seem to be rising. So that tells me that daily golden cross is going up. So the Bitcoin dominance will rise a little bit. I'm expecting a pump for Bitcoin back to somewhere, right?
Hmm.
Which 106.8 or 105.6, 106.8, 108 and point 0.5. These are all going to be resistance again, right? We
Yeah.
fell through.
Right.
We cannot ignore this. So um, even if we had some in the tank to print another all-time high,
Mm-hmm.
I would doubt it would come over 120. I would have 116 on my bingo card for that one. If we're talking all-time high, and right now I do not have anything to go on for that all-time high, really, right?
Mm-hmm. And
Maybe I dropped from 50/50 on that to all the way down to 20/80, which is as bearish as I would get because it's always 20% bullish. I can find some arguments that are bullish. My argument would be, hey, look at that stochastic RSI. Look at that 2020 moving average that is holding as support, especially on the higher time frames. But then there's more bearish arguments here, and that is that weekly stochastic, right? The monthly stochastic indicating that possibly later on in the year pumps, right? If we need to time that, especially if you're looking at that K line. So also, the stochastic RSI is something that you should learn how to read because it's not like Bitcoin pumps, RSI goes up. No,
mm-hmm.
that K line is the timeline. So when time goes, when Bitcoin is not pumping, that means that Bitcoin is too expensive. People are not buying.
Mm-hmm.
That means that that blue line, the K line, which indicates the time, is then already pumping up on the daily while price has not moved much. That's bearish. We want to see big volume, big price moves there,
Okay,
right?
so yeah, sorry, I had to turn off the guppy and put on this stochastic RSI.
Yeah.
So, um, I just want to understand it like a little bit better. So, I'm looking at the blue line and the golden line, and you're saying
Yeah.
that so as the golden line is the K line, correct?
No, the blue
Oh,
line
the
is the
blue,
K line.
and that's time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That's basically the time, and then the momentum, right?
Uh huh.
Is the orange one.
And so by momentum, it's kind of like
So
how the uh-huh.
the more time it takes will mess up the momentum because you're not having any momentum. So it would quickly shoot that K line up in there that followed really, really fast by that orange one, right? And we see that it takes too long because if you put it on a weekly, that K line is already boom in oversold conditions. It's at 98. And then the momentum is right now at 93, but there is no volume. And that will make that K line drop down again because there's no momentum. No momentum plus time is K line down. And that's the one that leads the whole stochastic.
Mm.
So when you see a golden cross, you're expecting some pumps. And then people will say, like, oh, it's a golden cross. We're going to make another all time high. No, not necessarily so. Because if volume is lacking and it takes too long of a time, that K line is going to drag that orange line into oversold conditions. And that was your golden cross momentum, right? That was the move. And the move you then see could only be like 3%. So people make a mistake with the stochastic, reading the stochastic RSI. that it has something to do with a bigger pump. Now, sure, right, but we're not measuring volume here. We're measuring different things. So, but when we look on the higher time frames, these where that stochastic is really powerful, because if you look on a monthly, it takes many months to move that K line. So let's say nobody buys Bitcoin and nobody sells Bitcoin. That monthly, a year will combine, that monthly will be in oversold conditions because time is moving, right? So the K
Mm-hmm.
line will be moving, right? So even if the price of Bitcoin remain the same, the K line momentum are then in oversold or overbought conditions. That just means that the price has to be cheaper for other people to buy. And so it will cross down, and that will indicate that sell pressure is coming in now. Bitcoin is too pricey. We're too
Mm.
long on the same line. And if there's no buyers, there's going to be sellers.
Yeah. Yeah. That reminds me of something I was just reading about Sui about because I was reading. I'm like, why is Sui? Why does it keep dropping? And what's gonna happen? I ask Chat GPT this every day to see if it's gonna give me not Chat GPT. I ask a bunch of different models. But anyway,
Yeah.
it was saying that it was giving possible reasons, and one of them was saying that like, well, token unlocking could have something to do with it, as the
No,
sell
that
pressure
already happened a
increases.
month ago.
Yeah, it was the
No,
beginning
that
of
already
May.
happened.
It's they
Yeah.
said the article I was reading or the information that it fetched though was also saying that we're due for like another one coming up like this week, like tomorrow. I think that there is. I think it said the beginning of June or the end of May. So either today or tomorrow. I think it was saying that
Mm.
there's another one. I don't. That could be incorrect though because
No,
sometimes the models will fetch
that's not
information
correct.
and form its own.
No,
Yeah.
that they have months in between. The last one was in October and it
Okay.
didn't affect the price at all,
Okay.
right? And now there's one in May. The next one is expected. Hold on, maybe I should hold on.
I should find the thing that I saw so I can clarify what I read because the AI model may have formulated that just assumption, even though it's not true. I think it was Gemini I was using. So if I go into my history on here and look
Mm.
at, let me see, it
Oh, let
was
me look through my Suino.
yeah I've been doing let me see crypto market snapshot. Where's the one where I asked it about Sui specifically? Oh, it's Sui token price analysis. I
Oh
don't.
no, there you are right, but it's getting less over time. So the next Sui unlock is the 1st of June. Sui follows a monthly token unlock schedule with approximately
Oh,
64.1 million Sui tokens. That's nothing.
yeah, I'm looking at something. Mine says another unlock of 58.35 million, $206 million is
Yeah,
scheduled for
yeah,
June 2nd, equivalent to 1.75% of the market cap, which could contribute to selling pressure. So that's why
yeah.
the word
But
selling pressure
but
right there is. Mhm.
these unlocks are part of the vesting schedule for stakeholders,
Right.
Series A and B investors, early
Uh-huh.
contribute, and the Miston Labs treasury.
Okay.
So usually these what happens to these tokens is that they get to be bought up. And that's why they never affect the price much.
Yeah, especially if it's only 1% of the market cap or
Yeah,
1.75%. It's like
yeah,
that's a drop in the bucket in when the market cap is
yeah,
so
yeah.
huge.
No, they have a pretty cool system for that and hardly affects the chart.
They
People are
incentivize
looking for a
staking a
reason
lot.
why. If you want to look for a reason why, then you need to look at the and this is what. Okay, so your alts are lower in market cap. If it's a young token, it is 10 times less than Solana.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's 10 times more volatile.
Hmm.
That means if Solana takes 3%, right, Sui can take 30%. And this is simply by market cap.
Hmm.
The lower the market cap, the more upward potential and the more downward potential, the higher the volatility, right?
Yeah.
So if you're going 1 million market cap or 10 million market cap token, very different tokens, right? Very
Hmm.
different. When the sell pressure can be exactly the same, but it will do more harm on or harm. It will show more in percentage down if it takes a dunk than the 10 million one. And that's because of the market cap. And that's why Bitcoin is the largest market cap. And that's why Bitcoin can take 2% down, and lo and behold, right? So we take 6 to 8.
Yeah.
Solana will take 3 to 5, right? Right. So that's because they're lower in market cap than Bitcoin. Not per se because there are many more sellers. No, could be same amount seller, right?
Yeah. Well, all in all, I feel like Sui is performing well, like relative to how the market is doing. It's
Yeah.
just that for me, you know how it is. It's like I know that I blasted the top because Sui had just got done pumping up from a very. If I go to
All
like,
right. So
so
Tiff,
I know I blasted the top. Yeah.
yeah, but it doesn't matter. It's your time in the market versus timing the market. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So when my kid got into Jasmine, she bought her first at what was it? Um, Let me have to pull up that chart because I still have it in there.
Screenshot.
As yeah, well, no, I have it charted where she
Oh,
got.
nice. Yeah.
Um, yeah, well, I gotta put it all the way up here. Yeah, so she bought in at what was it? Right, what was that? No, it was before. Sorry, she got in at 0.00077, and that at the time was the top, you guys.
Oh, damn.
That was the top. That
Mm-hmm.
was all the way in August 22.
Okay, so she bought. It was the all-time high at the time.
Yeah,
Let's see. I'm pulling it up right now. The
but then
Jasmine.
she DCA'd for 2 years straight,
Mm-hmm.
2.5 years altogether.
Mm-hmm.
And so it came down to 0031. And that's where she actually bought most. Because that Toppy Blasty that she did
Mm-hmm.
only lasted for 4 or 5 months
Yeah.
before price came down. And then price stayed down for a good year and a half. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So she DCA'd on the top blasted, DCA on the way down, and then DCA'd all the way up that floor a year and a half, giving her an average of 0.0049. So she leveled herself out over time.
Oh yeah, I see. I see how the chart did that. That is so
See?
sick. Uh-huh.
So
Yeah, totally.
even she could have watched her wallet take a hit the first 5 months,
She bought right
6 months.
before the bull trap. Or I'm sorry, the
Yeah.
bear trap. She bought right before the bear trap.
She bought all the way in the bear market. That whole floor she bought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But she
exactly.
started,
Exactly.
so she started at 0077. That
Yeah.
was her first entry. Yeah.
Uh,
So
I'm looking for where it was. Yeah.
she actually put in $500 there, straight up, because she had some savings.
So it was September of 22?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you said it
So,
was how
but
much
then
originally? $5?
no, 500 she bought.
Oh, 500. And then she just
She
DCA'd over time?
Yes. And
That's
look, and then she saw her bag go down all the way 50% of that
yeah.
value.
Yeah.
But she just kept on doing her DCA because I had a schedule for her, and I was like, this is what's going to happen when you DCA, because we're going to go with time in the market versus time in the market.
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
so
Yeah.
Bitcoin was not, Bitcoin was in a bear market. So we don't know where the floor was. Now we can look back and see it.
Right.
And I was like, it don't, no matter where it is, we just buy.
Yeah.
Every week you buy. You get your pocket money, you buy.
Yeah.
Right?
I get
And
it.
she
Yeah.
just kept on doing that. Yeah.
Mm.
So naturally, because the pumps, when you see pumps, those are really short periods of time, right? When it pumps.
I know, yeah. Yeah.
The longest time a token spends on the floor, and this is why DCA works.
Mm-hmm.
So look at that weekly chart on Jasmine and see that whole floor zone. Now that floor zone was anywhere between, what was it, like 3.0031 all the way up to 0.011. That was basically the whole zone of buying. But even in that zone, you could drop 50%.
Uh-huh.
See?
Right.
70% you could have dropped.
Yeah.
But if you held long enough, you would be up 40x. See?
Yeah.
If you held long enough or if you DCA'd long enough, you will always average out better. It just means that it takes more time. And this is why they say the money in crypto flows from uh, the impatient to the patient,
Mm-hmm.
because they just buy a little bit of whatever people sell the floor with without expecting a quick return. You're just going to have to do this for as long as it takes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It just
And
it
then
does.
Bitcoin,
It's
Bitcoin went in 23. Jasmy took its first jump. And that's where the Jasmy took its first jump all the way to 0.02736. Now, mind you, her average was 0.004, but so she did a 5.5x from there.
wow.
And that was the first pump, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that February 24. And the second pump went all the way to, where are we? 0.4488. Now, mind you, her average was 0.0041112. You know
Wow.
how much that is? Yeah. So,
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy.
yes, right? So, Jasmine ate a zero off
Mm-hmm.
her thingy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Basic and a little more. So she did ugly numbers there. She had some Caspa, same thing. Caspa, I started mining Caspa when Caspa, there, I have it in the chart. Let's put it on a daily so I can see the prices here.
I have two questions. Like,
Yeah.
what was her conviction? What made her so like had such a strong, you're
Honest,
so bullish
to be
on
honest,
Jasmine?
yeah. Well, I kind of told her you cannot dunk anything in one. We got to pick some other stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you got to buy a little bit of Bitcoin. And Caspa, I started mining some Caspa. And Caspa at the time was only 0.021. And that one went all the way up to 0.21026.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It went up to
Yeah.
21 cents.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Insane,
That's
huh?
yeah.
So yeah,
Right now, it
I,
looks like a
I
great
told
time
her
to
to
buy
buy some Caspa
Caspa.
and some
Speaking.
Jasmine. Now, Caspa, I tried to explain to her what proof of work was, right?
Uh huh.
Because Caspa is a proof of work chain,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, and I was mining it, so I tried, but she didn't really get it, and she wasn't that bullish on it either. But she kind of had to diversify, and Jasmine she picked because guess what? She liked the name, and she likes Japan, and this was the
Yeah.
Japanese Bitcoin,
Yeah.
and it had to do with self custody and all these things. And she was like, "I
Yeah.
think it's bullish." And
I
then
was very bullish on Jasmine
yeah, and
originally.
then
Yeah.
she was watching a video of how to become a Jasmine millionaire. Well, and that kind of sealed the deal right
That's
there.
sick.
From then on, she was just trying to hoard as much tokens for the
Yeah.
lowest price as possible.
Yeah. She
And no
manifested it.
matter where that chart went in because in 23 Binance sold all of their Jasmine in one go,
Wow.
and it took it down from like 0.006
Uh huh.
all the way down to 0.002.8. And she came hauling back in my room. I need an advantage of my pocket money. I was like, why? I gotta buy this dip. I can buy so many tokens for this money right now, right?
Yeah.
So instead of being fearful and be like, what the just slashed my bag in with 70% down.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the way she was thinking. She was like, no, this is opportunity. I gotta have more of my allowance money
Mm-hmm.
to catch this dip, because this is
Yeah.
like I can get more Jasmine tokens so I can be a Jasmine whale.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
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 And I was like, that's a great example for many adults here in crypto,
Oh yeah.
because that is actually how you do it.
Yeah.
And in order to do it, you got to stay liquid. Now, she wasn't liquid because
Mm-hmm.
she needed to ask me for, an advance
Yeah.
on the pocket money.
Right.
See?
So yeah, don't
So,
do that. Don't
yeah,
over leverage yourself. not financial advice.
Exactly, right. And of course,
Yes.
if we had like a little sugar daddy or a sugar mommy in your case
Or
to go to and be like, hey,
yeah.
can I have something to buy this dip with?
Yeah, right.
We would do it too. And
Straight
that's
up.
why I always stress stay liquid for
Yeah.
opportunity.
Yeah. So
Stay
for me,
liquid.
because I like increased my DCA though, because it was dipping, and I was like, oh cool, I'm gonna like double, like triple, quadruple my DCA.
No,
You know, that's
yeah,
what, yeah. And so that's probably not the best strategy, because it's like now I'm like, damn, I've already DCA'd this much this week alone, plus the week before that I was DCAing, and now I'm like starting to do those numbers. I'm like, okay, maybe I should like reel it in like a little bit. Like it's not, I'm not over
well,
leveraging
look,
myself or doing anything stupid,
no,
but
you need a game plan, and you
yeah,
didn't have a plan.
right. You
So
told
you
me pick a
DCI without
day.
having a plan.
Yeah,
Buy some every day or a fixed amount every week or twice a week on 2 fixed days, no matter where the chart is.
my plan, it was just like buy as much as like possible, and as I like feel like as I get my income and stuff, I have like a certain
Yeah,
percentage of that I allocate. So if I like just got paid, and so I was like, okay, I'm gonna take 10% of my fiat, convert it to
yeah,
SUI. I feel like that's a very safe strategy. Some people say you can do up to 50%
yeah.
or
But part
more,
of your
but
DCA
yeah.
should also be in USDT. So this
I
is
don't
the
do that.
strategy. Let's say I have $100 that I can spend, right?
Uh-huh.
And I have 3 projects that I'm in.
Okay.
Okay, 30% is going to USDT. So $30 is going to gunpowder in stables.
And it just sits there as USDT?
Yeah,
I mean, I can do that
I
with my
just saw it.
Coinbase account. Well, no, actually,
Yeah,
Coinbase offers you to do USDC on chain.
well,
Is that the same?
USDC, right? Whatever is stable. So you pick in a stable to keep some gunpowder in, and that's good for me. That's always 30%. So if I have a
Okay.
hundred, it's $30,
I have a question
and
then.
then
Okay,
yeah, and then the rest is going to be divided.
real quick. So when I put in a limit order on Coinbase, it actually takes that USDC from my
Yeah,
account, and then converts it into USDC on chain, so that it's ready to
yeah,
complete the limit order. And
yeah,
so basically, you're saying that I should have a lot less fear in doing that, because
yeah,
having the fiat sitting there on chain, it's actually, I know that you can get like a 4.6% APY just for letting it sit on chain. So
yeah.
it kind of
Let it
does
cook.
make, it this okay. Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
and you
yeah.
also have opportunity money because this is still crypto.
Yeah.
And of course, we hope for Bitcoin to hold certain floors.
Hmm.
But that's why I say, hey, if we're going 75, you know how these alts are going to bleed?
Yeah.
And how, if you do not have any gun, okay, so this is the example again. Let's say you have a sugar mama and I have a sugar daddy.
Hmm.
And I just spend every week $100 in crypto on 4 projects, right?
Hmm.
For things in my portfolio.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And now I just DCA the next day, there's a freaking dip.
Right.
You'll be like, oh, I got to buy this.
Yeah.
And you can, because you can call your sugar mommy and I can
Hmm.
call my sugar daddy. All
Hmm.
right. So you got to be your own sugar mommy and sugar daddy.
Right.
So you got to stay liquid. That's why. Because then you would be happy
Yeah.
to
Okay,
add to
cool.
your deck.
You're
You're
giving
like,
me
oh, let's still have gunpowder.
you're definitely giving
And then, of
perspective
course,
on it. Yeah.
yeah, right. And then you're going to be excited.
Now I have crazy FOMO, because I'm looking at the
Yeah.
306 dip, and I'm like, why didn't I put in that limit order that I was thinking about? Like, cause I was like, should I do another one? I was telling my buddy Brian about it yesterday. I was like, dude, I think I should do another one. And I think he even told me maybe I should cool it, because like I was telling him how much I've kind of like aped in this week, and
Yeah.
he's like, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe dial it back a little bit. But it's like I get excited and
I
bullish,
agree.
and I'm just like, dude, like I'm like, the fiat's not going to do me any
Yes.
good
Okay.
sitting there anyway. Like, I
So
mean, that's
again,
not
right?
financial advice, but
Time in the market versus time in the market.
yeah.
Time is your friend.
Hmm.
Time is your friend. It's not your enemy. If it's your enemy, that's where you FOMO, right?
Yeah,
Because now you think you don't have time.
I did do some moves into deep yesterday. So I moved some of my SUI
Yeah.
into deep, because deep was down. Oh, now it's back up to 15 cents. It was
Yeah,
down
I
to
missed that
14.
dip. I
Yeah,
kind
and
of wanted
so
to use that one to average myself a little bit better because I kind of took a hit there.
yeah, I've been
I didn't
watching
realize
the
I left some in. Yeah.
yeah, you showed me deep and like it's great. It looks great to trade on, which I'm not doing trading on it, but just even for trying to buy a dip because it
Yeah,
is a
but
more
it's more
volatile.
volatile than
Yes.
SUI, right? Because
Yeah,
it's
way
lower
more
market
volatile.
cap, and so it's
Yeah.
nice to trade,
Hmm.
but you gotta then take the whole bag out, right? If you do swings like that.
I was messing around with
Yeah.
limit orders and putting in like, but um yeah, I think I'm just gonna keep acquiring more. I don't
So
think I can
if you
have
want
enough
to
for
make
deep.
if you are trading,
Uh-huh.
then you're looking for tokens with volume. If you're looking to trade, I trade Tau. I trade that TARS AI
Tars
token.
AI.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
but Tau as well, right? I trade
That,
those a lot
that
because I know
yeah.
their charts, and these are banger swings. But the bag goes in and the whole bag comes out.
Oh,
There is
dang.
no way that I leave something on the wire there. Now I sometimes
Okay.
do have like a DCA strategy
Yeah.
and a swing trade strategy,
But
but the swing trade bag
right.
always comes out
Yeah,
on
it
its
has to
own
because
like
if you leave a
yes.
bag in there and it drops 30% or
Yeah.
whatever, that's going to be a
Yeah.
hit if it's a big bag.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but why would you have done that, right? You took it for the swing. You took it for
Right.
the trade.
That's
But if you're
sick.
not taking it for the trade, then it's just your DCA.
Hmm.
Time is your friend. Do not FOMO. Price always comes back.
Word.
And if it's hauling, if there's a green confirmation, Bitcoin is taken off, everything's taken off, then that is still giving you the option to jump the gun right then and there and take straight away 5-10% profit. So there is absolutely no reason to FOMO.
Hmm. Yeah.
The whole FOMO thing comes from you wanting to buy the Pico bottom to sell the Pico top. Well,
True.
I'm gonna have
True.
to break your bottle.
That's
I'm
the
gonna have to
yeah.
break your bubble there.
Or the
Even a good
bottle's a
trader,
good one too. Like being a baby trying to do
yeah,
something that's
right.
unreal too.
Break
The
your
Pico
bottom, like
bottom,
ah.
yeah. You've said before that hitting the Pico top or Pico bottom is like it's unrealistic. That's like looking for
It's
the
unrealistic.
1000x. It's not a
You know what?
sustainable
You have
game
you
plan.
have the looking back at the chart syndrome
Hmm.
because when we look back at the chart, it's pretty easy. No, it's pretty easy to identify where we should have bought and where we
Hindsight's
should have sold.
2020.
And of course, that's going to be the Pico bottom
Mm.
and swing all the way to the Pico top. Yes. But
Yeah.
then when you start buying, you're just like now you felt in control because you saw all that. But then you put in your first buy
Mm.
and then some you don't know where it suddenly you're just like, where's this chart going? Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Sometimes getting
Yeah.
a good limit order in, or that I think is good at the time, then it dips, and then it dips, and then it
Yeah.
dips three more
Yeah.
times, and you're like, damn, I thought that was good when I put that limit order in. It was,
Yeah, I
I
thought it
got it.
was being Gucci here, but then the dip just kept dipping. Okay, and this
Yeah,
is why, even good traders, I consider myself a decent trader, and I don't take the Pico bottom and I don't take the Pico top.
it's
You know
unrealistic.
why?
Yeah.
Because it's hard to do, and so I trade on Wix. I'm pretty out there, pretty
Uh
risky.
huh. So
So
even
I
if you're
hit it.
very,
I hit it.
yeah.
Yeah, I hit them. Right, maybe 60% of the time I hit it,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm actually doing my best for it. Right, because I think it's more of a sport for me to do that, to
Yeah.
TA on the Wix like that.
The game of
But
it.
to be more, yeah, but it's risky. All in all, it's about, okay, let's say I bought somewhere near the bottom. Let's say 10% off the floor, up from the floor. And that thing now pumps 40%. Let's say I sold at 35%. I'm still bagging 25%. Are you fucking being greedy trying
Right.
to get that
Extra.
15% more, the 10% more?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Yeah. Yeah. The market does not reward greediness.
Why? The risk at the risk of losing it all, toppy flips.
Uh huh. I think oh while there your connection may be cutting in and out a little bit. Yeah. It's a little
GM,
choppy.
yes, I experienced the same. Hi Wild, hi
Hey,
Dick, main
Hey,
lamp,
hey,
Ryan,
good to see you,
Stu,
Meta.
Chulana. How is it going? Wild is rugging out a bit,
the
it seems.
20% dunk and leaves you,
Oh.
just about
That's weird.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
Wilder, your Wi-Fi is cutting in and out.
You're gonna hope for another pump
Oh,
to get you back, right?
yeah. Oh, here, I'm gonna text you
Because
on Telegram. Um,
you haven't so.
let's see. Bear with us, guys. I just went ahead and sent her a Telegram message. Hopefully, we can get this sorted out. Because she is busy with work right now, she's having connection issues, so we are kind of doing this space on the fly, trying to hold it together, even though she is not hosting the space from her usual spot. So let's see if we can restore her connection. Dang. Well, anyway, let's see. Wilder, can you hear me by chance? Right now, your mic is on mute.
Well, I can hear you, Tech.
Yeah.
So you have to keep it running, I guess, and maybe Wild needs to take a nap and then hop back on stage.
Yeah, cool. Well, yeah, I do want to do a shout out then for the Doginal dogs. We have a whole crew of Doginal dogs in the space right now, so that's awesome to see. Thanks for showing up, you guys, and supporting Wilder and myself. And what's the ticker? Let's see. I want to see what the Doginal dogs floor is at right now, because this was a free mint that started a little over a year ago, and it's a NFT collection community of these pixel art dogs. Currently, the floor is at almost 3,500. You can see I have it on the live stream right now. This is the collection on Doge Labs. The NFTs are available for sale, and yeah, it has risen from a free mint all the way up to almost $3,500. And so this community of Doginal dogs is let me see if I can if you go onto the doginaldogs.com website, there's the Doginal docs, where they go into basically what, the basics of blockchain and cryptocurrency, as well as Bark branding course. So position yourself for success on X. Different, let me see, ways to optimize your name and handle, changing your profile picture, getting verified, and posting and engaging on X, as well as information on monetizing on X. Basically, a how-to tutorial about how to strategize making money by posting on Twitter, and things that you can do to kind of optimize for the algorithm.